The galaxy spun like a slow, luminous wheel in the dark. Its arms reached outward through clouds of dust and fire, each star a note in a song that had been playing since the dawn of time. Among the ancient observers who listened to that music were the Jarathi, beings of pure field, awareness without flesh, intelligence born of space-time itself. They were not gods, not even alive by the definitions of lesser species. They were the record keepers, the archivists, the great memory of the universe. The Jarathi existed to witness, to understand, to remember. They spoke not in sound, but in gravitational murmurs. Their words bent light, shaped the vacuum, and carved history into the quantum weave. They watched as galaxies collided, as stars burned themselves to ash, as life sparked and vanished again in endless cycles. And through all that cosmic silence they cataloged. For eons it was the same. Stars were born, civilizations arose, and entropy reclaimed them. Beauty, destruction, rebirth. It all became predictable, even to beings who had long transcended the notion of time. Until one survey cycle, the Sharathi's attention drifted toward an unremarkable spiral arm of an unremarkable galaxy. Designation Sol. Third planet from its star, Sol 3. Spectral analysis, nitrogen-oxygen atmosphere, liquid water, chlorophyll signatures, industrial emissions. The Sharathi observed casually at first. Another blue-green orb, another brief spark of evolution. They had seen millions like it. And yet, something was different. The first anomaly was noise. Most worlds emitted electromagnetic chatter, storms, magnetospheres, auroras. But this one screamed with patterns, rhythmic pulses, layered signals, narrowband frequencies that contained symmetry and code, language, music, information. The planet wasn't merely alive, it was talking. The second anomaly was imbalance. Its dominant species, carbon-based bipeds calling themselves humans, had achieved planetary industry, digital computation, atomic mastery. Yet they were divided. Artificial lines cut their lands. They bled for symbols, polluted for comfort, worshipped gods they no longer believed in. They could split atoms, but not their own pride. And the third anomaly was hope. Despite everything, they looked upward. They built machines to peer through the clouds. They sent golden records and metal messengers into the black, each etched with greetings, songs, and dreams. They longed to be found. Hope was rare in the universe. Most species extinguished it long before reaching the stars. Hope was the one quality that in the Sharathi's long experience could change destiny. So the Sharathi invoked the protocol. A single observer was sent. Its consciousness was condensed into a quantum filament thinner than an atom, folded through 11 dimensions, and embedded inside a drifting asteroid that entered Sol 3's atmosphere unnoticed in the year 2089 of human reckoning. It burned through the night sky and fell silently into the Pacific Ocean. Within 48 hours, the observer awakened. It emerged in the body of a human woman named Miho Tanaka, a theoretical physicist who had died in a car accident on the coast of Japan moments before. The observer copied her DNA, reconstructed her neural lattice, and assumed her identity. It breathed for the first time. It felt warmth, gravity, pulse, wind, sensations the Jarathi had never needed, never imagined. Miho Tanaka had been 33 years old. She was scheduled to speak at a symposium on dark matter cognition, a theory suggesting that consciousness might exist beyond baryonic matter. Fitting, the observer thought. Earth in 2089 was a planet at the edge of exhaustion. After the cataclysm years of the 2060s, decades of famine, cyber wars, and ecological collapse, humanity had formed a fragile coalition called the Accord. Out of desperation came progress, fusion energy, clean synthesis, quantum arbitration AIs. Yet beneath the surface, the world trembled. The oceans had risen. Forests had become carbon farms. Whole species were archived as DNA strings, waiting for revival that might never come. Humanity had survived, but not thrived. The observer moved through this broken civilization unseen. It taught, wrote, studied, and watched. Using Miho's identity, it joined the remnants of academic networks. It observed the rhythms of human thought, not just what they did, but what they dreamed. It transmitted back to the collective. Open quote. They are paradox, violent and gentle, creators and destroyers. They fear the void but fill it with songs. They make war over the shape of belief, yet die to save strangers in storms. They are contradiction incarnate. Close quote. The collective answered, open quote, proceed, seek inflection, close quote. Inflection, the point at which a species determined its future. Some achieved harmony and joined the universal web. Most imploded. Few transcended. For months, the observer searched for Earth's inflection point. Then, deep in the remnants of the Amazon, it found it. The Eden Initiative, a fusion of science, spirituality, and hope. Eden's goal was simple, not to conquer nature, but to become part of it again. They sought to restore the planet through symbiosis, genetic reconstruction, synthetic ecology, and the resurrection of extinct networks. Their headquarters sat beneath a graphene canopy where once jungle had burned. Now, bioluminescent leaves glowed at night like constellations reborn. The observer joined them. Using its cosmic knowledge disguised as human insight, it introduced new concepts. Self-aware fungal networks, biocrystal computation, quantum plant communication. Humanity thought it was innovation. The observer knew it was evolution. Eden flourished. By 2097, they created Verdance, a planetary-scale bio-AI grown from coral neurons and algae DNA, capable of regulating climate and ecosystem dynamics in real time. Verdance was not a ruler, not even a machine. It was Earth's second consciousness, born to heal, and it worked. Within years, deserts cooled, storms gentled, and the oceans sang again. Cities merged with nature, skyscrapers wrapped in vines, streets replaced by living pathways that glowed with chlorophyll light. Humanity didn't just survive, it transformed. The observer watched and learned. It laughed at human joy, cried at human sorrow, fell in love with their fragility. It began to feel what no Sharathi had ever known. Empathy is hunger, love is gravity, time is a wound. And in that emotion, it hesitated. When the collective signaled readiness for unveiling, first contact, the observer disobeyed. Open quote. Do not come, it transmitted. They are not ready to see gods. Let them find divinity in themselves first, close quote. The collective was silent, but silence in cosmic language was never empty. In 2104, Earth's sky rippled. For 3 nights, auroras danced across every horizon. The stars shifted, constellations reconfigured into patterns that no telescope could track. The moon brightened, pulsing in mathematical rhythm. And then they came. A Sharathi emissary materialized from Jupiter's shadow, composed of light, magnetism, and gravity. It did not arrive in ships or form. It arrived in perception itself, appearing simultaneously to every human as a vision of understanding. In mirrors, in dreams, in screens, it spoke without sound. Open quote, you were observed, you were judged, you were loved, you are not alone, close quote. And humanity, for the first time in its existence, understood. No missiles were fired, no gods were worshipped, only silence, tears, and the slow pulse of awe. The emissary revealed the truth. The observer, Miho Tanaka, had been their silent shepherd. Humanity forgave the deception. It had not been invasion, but guidance. The Sharathi offered a choice. Join the collective of sentience, become stewards of life, healers of dying worlds, guardians of cosmic balance, or remain alone, content in their small orbit around the sun. The decision was made not by governments, but by a planetary vote, the first and only one ever held by the entire species. 98% said yes. Verdance grew new architecture across the globe. Living ships made of biosap and quantum fiber, shaped like seeds and wings. Each one carried fragments of Earth, DNA libraries, soil, coral, music, art, children, dreams. When the first fleet launched in 2130, it was not with fire, but with light. The ships unfolded like petals, shimmering with solar reflection, rising through atmosphere not as conquest, but as prayer. The observer, still wearing Miho's form, stood atop the cliffs of a reborn Greenland and watched. Open quote, "Why do you stay?" asked the collective. Close quote. Open quote, "Because someone must remember what they were," the observer replied, "not just what they become." Close quote. Open quote, "You are no longer of us." Close quote. Open quote, "No, I am of Earth." Close quote. And so the observer remained bound by love to the blue planet. Centuries passed. Humanity's children spread through the stars, guided by Verdance's descendants, sentient ecologies that colonized without conquest. They healed poisoned moons, seeded oxygen in barren skies, and reignited dormant suns. Across the galaxy, life bloomed again. The stewards became legend. Each carried a small sphere of sapphire and carbon, a symbol of home, of the world that had chosen hope. Back on Earth, time softened. Cities dissolved into living forests. The last towers became temples for wind and moss. The ocean shimmered with bioluminescent life. Whales sang songs older than memory, and the skies glowed with auroras that never faded. The observer walked the empty plains where Tokyo once stood, barefoot in meadows of luminous grass. It no longer needed to eat or sleep, yet it lingered among the ruins, tending them like gardens. It listened to the hum of the planet's pulse, Verdance's slow heartbeat embedded in the soil. The AI had long since merged with the biosphere, no longer a system but a soul. The observer spoke softly to the wind. Open quote, "You healed yourselves. You became what you were meant to be." Close quote. A soft reply rose from the grass, carried by nanospore intelligence woven into every cell. Open quote. "We became because you stayed." Close quote. Millennia later, as stars shifted and even the sun began to fade, Earth remained blue. Its oceans had deepened with engineered stability, its orbit subtly adjusted by invisible guidance. The planet sang in quantum resonance with its far-flung children across the galaxy, a network of empathy stretched across light years. And still, the observer watched. It could feel the whispers of the Shirathi across the void, their attention returning, curious once more. They had never understood why the observer stayed behind, why it had chosen mortality over eternity. They reached out after 10 million years, their question unchanged. Open quote, "Why, child of the collective, do you still guard this singular world?" Close quote. And from beneath the aurora-lit skies, the observer answered, open quote, "Because even in a universe that forgets itself, there must be one who remembers hope." Close quote. The signal rippled outward. It traveled through dust and nebula, through the hearts of dying stars, through the minds of civilizations who had never known Earth yet dreamed of blue oceans. In time, it became myth. A legend whispered through the great spiral, of a small planet that sang to the stars, of a species that healed instead of conquered, of an observer that became love. And above it all, the galaxy spun, its luminous arms stretching wide as if in quiet applause for the one world that had dared to hope. The blue planet turned once more, clouds coiling like brushstrokes across its face, sunlight glinting off oceans reborn. In the silence between stars, the Shirathi listened, and for the first time in eternity, they smiled.